Hey, this is Hippy from H&H Racing, Bad Back and Knees Club. Tonight's video is going to be a little different than what we've been doing. We are definitely not in the shop. Just like anybody who is in some rough shape will have, man, I've had a little setback. My stomach is my weak link. They've had me on every NSAID in the world and every gosh darn steroid and everything they could put you on for my orthopedic issues over the years. And what's ended up happening is it's ate my insides out. I am subject to bleeding ulcers, especially duodenal ulcers. And I made the mistake of getting too loose and eating too much good, rich, spicy food and got my tummy in an uproar, and then I threw my back out vomiting. So I'm in the tub with about 9 cups of Epsom salts. Luckily, I got a nice big old garden tub because, you really do need one if you're having orthopedic issues, and if it's going to be a long-term thing, it is good for you. I figured what I'd talk about tonight is how I ended up being the president of the Bad Back and Knees Club. Man, the year was 1988. I was 19, about to be 20-year-old whippersnapper, long hair, redneck biker, hot rodder that worked in the shipyards of Wilmington. And when I say the shipyards, I don't mean the ports. I mean, we kept the ships running. Our specialty at Delta Marine was LTs and dredge boats. And, an LT, a light tug, that's kind of a misnomer. That's like a jumbo shrimp. A light tug's a 110-foot vessel. And the dredge vehicles and the dredge ships that they use out here to keep the Cape Fear River open for the state ports to run require constant maintenance. And then I got lured over to Wilmington Shipyard, which is where I finished out my career, because I was the last person to clock out of Wilmington Shipyard as I watched them pull the last dry dock away to India. And I started a new career from there. But the shipyard was an awesome place for me. I could run any piece of equipment in there. I'm a farm boy. Man, I knew how to run anything on the site. I could weld, I could cut, I could read blueprints. I mean, I grew up in an industrial dairy setting and had mad skills for a young man, and I was hardworking, and I was still a true believer back then. However, being a good-looking, long-haired kid making a lot of money, running around on a XLCH, I always liked older women when I was young. I never messed with no young girls. I didn't date in my age bracket until, hell, I don't know if I ever have, actually. I dated up in my age bracket my first, 20-some years, and kind of have gone the other way now. I'm in my mid-50s, and my girl's in her early 40s, so, again, Miss Manners says that's okay, but I'm digressing. So after a long, hard day's work in the shipyard, I went to the house of one Ruth Ann, who was a middle-aged MILF who had the mega hots for yours truly. And, man, I would drop by there and drop some things off and head on home. And I had done so and was doing so when I pulled up to the King's Grant 132 light. I lived on the other side in what's called Kings Grant Extension, but you can look at it Kings Drive and Highway 132 North, Wilmington, North Carolina. It's right where I 40 starts, but it didn't back then because I 40 wasn't in here yet. Anyway, it was cold. Um, I had a full face Biaffi helmet on, and was had a scarf and my leathers and all that, and I mean it was cold. And there was two cars in front of me and several cars behind me. The light changed, and I'm gonna tell you, man, if there's one thing I do, it's own my crap. I did not look. Man, the car took off in front of me. It was green light. I took off after them, and this is why you look, because coming coming up 132 in that inside lane was two drunk Marines and a Toyota Supra. And they were running about 80 miles an hour and T-boned me. Drove my foot completely through the transmission and out the other side of the frame of that Sportster. Broke everything on my left side, broke my back in 7 places, put a rib into my heart, into the heart capsule, and collapsed my lungs. Man, as I was laying there bleeding in the street with compound fractures, two fine gentlemen stopped, determined I was dead, and robbed me. Literally picked my pockets, stole my wallet, my pistol, my pocket knife, anything of value I had on me, they took, and I was conscious in a way, but man, I couldn't move. I was literally paralyzed and I was in shock. I was stunned out. Man, luckily, and again, Wrightsboro Volunteer Fire Department back in the day, put a lot of volunteer time in over there, and thank goodness I did, because maybe they knew it was me and they ran quick. But they got me scraped up off the highway and got me to New Hanover County Emergency Room post haste. And the emergency room staff went to work on me. And one of the things that I still dream about at night, and I still have visions of sometimes, I can walk through a department store and catch a whiff of Old Spice, and it'll literally flash me back. There was a great big orderly named Ted. It's an African American gentleman, and he was about 6'11", maybe 5 1/4. And he used to keep the peace in the ER around New Hanover County back in the day. He came over and he laid across my broken torso and pinned me to that gurney so them doctors could tie sheets around my ankles and pull my legs straight, and pulled a bone out of my legs because they had compound fractures. And man, I'm gonna scan down here for just a second, and again, if we roll in right here, this ain't no peep show, but anyway, if you see right here, this is the top spot where the bone come out of my leg. This is the middle spot where the bone come out of my leg. That's a lower spot where the bone come out of my leg. And my foot resembled a boneless chicken thigh that was turned backwards and grilled on high. Man, dude, my left foot did not, you could not, if I showed you a picture of it, you would have guessed anything but a foot. A young doctor, orthopedic, trying to make a name for himself, popped up, and the next morning, it's funny, I've got an internal alarm clock. I just wake up at milking time every morning. And man, I woke up and I saw the sun, and I realized that I was late for work, and jumped out of bed, connected to all the tubes and wires, and man, all the soft casts and stuff they had laid in to try to put me back together the night before, and started hollering about my boots because I was late for work. I had never been late for work at that point in my life, and I almost had a heart attack when I woke up because I thought I was late for work. Like I said, man, I was a true believer. Anywho, young orthopedic, and I'm gonna omit his name for the time being, who was very, very attached to the Peruvian marching powder, came flying in my room one morning, wild eyed and crazy, and said, "Hey, son, would you like to keep your leg?" And I, hey, if you're 19 and they ask you if you want to keep your leg, what you gonna say? Well, yeah, I don't want to not keep my leg. Um, he was experimenting with external fixators, and he had his own little design. And man, he set that leg up and pulled it back together, and pretty much put it back together. I mean, he didn't, the knee. Hey, man, you can only straighten so much out. The foot is a work of art. The foot's a miracle. That is a modern medical masterpiece. As bad as that looks, it don't hurt. It works, and I've been walking on it since '88. So take that for what it's worth. Shit, the other one hurts worse than this one does. From kicking motorcycles, man, I've damn busted the arch on this foot where you can actually see the lump on the top of it from booting bikes for years. However, he set me up in this external fixator and started pulling it back into something that looked like a foot. It's kind of funny. I got a cheese doodle toe, and it's got a wire. It had a wire in it that made it completely straight, with a little bit of downturn on the end, so that it fit my shoes nicely. And he really did a good job on it. I, however, had to stick my nose in the middle of a beatdown one night in front of the Barbary Coast. If anybody remembers the parts guy from Brits Motorsports, his name was Tom Ryan. But Tom was being accosted in front of the Barbary Coast, and I liked Tom, and Tom always looked out for me on parts. And I drop kicked his assailant in the head and cheese doodled my toe. And the fixing it is so much worse than what it is. We will just keep that. It's been that way for many a year, and it'll be that way, I guess, when they put me in the oven. Because they're not cutting on that thing again. It's okay. I'm fine. Everybody back off. Ankle, the ankle is mostly fused. The right ankle is mostly fused as well. My right knee got out of it okay, though. Honestly, I got out of it okay on the right side, on my knee. However, left knee, as you can plainly see, is not okay. This thing's been bone on bone for 15, 17 years now. And it's wore down to the point that there is no femoral head left. It's just a straight stick. And the bone is cascaded down the shin and into the top of my foot. And hey, man, that's just where it is. It's so funny that in hindsight, knowing what I know now, I'd have had him take it at the knee. And I would be in a much, much different place today than I am right now. I know prosthetics, the idea of having a wooden leg. Well, I wouldn't have a wooden leg. I'd have a carbon fiber leg with high tensile strength, aircraft aluminum accents, and it would be just fine, I assure you. But nonetheless, they didn't. I chose to save it, and here we are. And I need a knee replacement like nobody's business. So when I tell you Bad Back and Knees channel, or Bad Back and Knees Club, I ain't even kidding. Now, my right knee, although it didn't get injured, I have wore it out compensating for this one over the years. I never would stop. I damn tried to ride mountain bikes competitively on this nonsense. Yes, I did. I never said I was smart. I'm just resilient. Um, hey, if all that weren't enough, God, about 15 years ago, I was on the roof of a steakhouse running a HVAC service call. Actually, it wasn't. It was on an ice machine, but nonetheless, I was running a HVACR service call, and the roof had just been reshingled, and I was strolling across that roof, and where I stepped, they had literally shingled over rotten wood, and I went right through the dang roof, through the metal structure over top of the kitchen, and was finally ended up suspended by my left foot, hung in a ceiling joist. Right above the fryer, and I kid you not, man, dude, I'm talking about a 4x4 fryer that I would have fell literally face first in, man, if my ankle hadn't caught me. And that's what all that weird stuff on the side is there. Anywho, that didn't do my knees any favor either. That torn ACL and man, it damn detached part of my patella and yada yada. But it didn't do me any good, and I'm here to tell you there ain't no money in getting hurt. So all that being said, that's kind of how I've ended up where I'm at today, and I still am not willing to quit. I'm not going to quit. And that's why this channel exists, man, is because the way I find to do things that I might could share with some of y'all and get you up and moving where your life wasn't just dull. Man, if I can get anybody up off the couch, man, and doing the things they love again, everything I've ever done will be worth it. And not that I'm doing a big deal. Heck, I walk around with a camera and talk. Man, you know, I get it. But at the same token, maybe my story is interesting or helpful. I'm going to kick on back and drop these feet in the hot water now, and we will not be going out in the shop tonight. I hope everyone's having a happy new year, and man, let's let this year be the year you get up, get motivated, get moving, and get back out there. I'm taking all my stomach stuff. I'm doing all the right things. I did all the right things except for eat the wrong thing. But, you know, hey, one day maybe I'll learn not to do that for real. Right now, I'm going to just kick back and soak and see and just let the pain melt away into these here Epsom salts. And go spend some quality time with my sweet love, Hannah, the other H in H&H Racing Services. All right, thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.